Ali start.
Yo, what's up, guys? This podcast is literally the third recording that we're doing today because the first two were like absolutely shit.
Because he's Ali is
If
a
you,
chutia who doesn't want to put posts that actually have meaning in them, and he wants to hide behind a fake image of productivity and family values.
नहीं, it's not that. It's that I think जो अभी पहली जो record की थी हमने. By the way, if you're new here, this is हमारी चाय, a podcast about uh
How to live a good life, but we don't really know. Ali doesn't really know anything.
we're
He just
figuring it
acts like he
out.
knows it. Yeah, okay.
It's about figuring it out. It's about figuring it out through debates about art and culture and philosophy because that are the two things that we are interested in. But getting back to वो अभी मैं creatively dry हो गया हूँ I think because of this quarantine bullshit. Um, Corona creative block basically. I don't know क्योंकि हमारी जो दो अभी रिकॉर्ड की थी हमने उसके अंदर बेस बेसिकली क्या we weren't getting the energy from it जो हमारी यूजली होती है या उसके अलावा जो कोई आइडियाज दैट पॉप अप बिकॉज यू रेड अ बुक और समथिंग लाइक दैट वो नहीं आ रहे होते हैं तो आई थिंक we've never really talked about like creativity in that sense and I think Hamza ने अभी किसी आई थिंक सिंगर को मेंशन किया था राइट सॉन्ग राइटर
James Blunt.
हाँ तो उसने क्या बोला था लाइक मेंशन दैट
Man, I don't remember his exact words, but he was talking about how he stopped making music because his music stopped selling because for him only misery sold and he was happy. So nobody wanted to listen to his happy shit. So we were talking about that because I was talking about about my blog because I haven't posted anything in the past month other than three, which have been relatively crap. Because early in mid February ish, stopped being super sad and shit. So that made me happy. So now that I'm happy, I don't really post anything on my blog because I don't have anything to say because people don't like when I post happy shit. But like, it's like I only post now if it's basically just because I want to post something because just keep the thing alive. But it's also like because people are reading it, and like I get a lot of people telling me that it's relatable and shit. But like, yeah, it is. But like sometimes people grow out of sadness, and I am lucky to tell you people that I have. So therefore, my blog is not unhappy as fuck. But I'm sure it will come back because James Blunt's music's come
but
back,
do
but
you
it's also
but do you
unhappy as
think it's
fuck.
like a bad uh since luckily you aren't a full-time artist but it's like full-time writer लेकिन it's like do you think you will struggle I don't know do you think it's a bad practice to have
What?
you only express
Negative emotions.
नहीं you don't express negative emotions you just generally the act of expression
Yeah.
creatively is happening uh, in the case of the blog your articulation of that in a creative manner is only happening when you are sad. Do you
No,
think do you think
that's
that
not.
is do you think that is unhealthy in terms of just writing or
No,
just
no,
making art?
no, no, definitely not. You have the ability to express yourself at any moment of time in any way you want. Like, bro, like if I want to express my sadness through my blog, it's my sadness, my blog, my writing. If I want to later write some fan fiction on fucking Harry Potter, it's never going to happen. I don't even like Harry Potter. There, early I've alienated at least 90% of the viewers.
Yeah, I'm
But
not a fan of Harry Potter either, I guess, in
yeah,
that sense.
so
Uh,
if I want to do
Never
some
read
shit
the
like
book.
that, I'll do it. But I don't think I'm only able to write when I'm sad. I think that the theme of the blog is meant to be a journey to sanity, and sanity then also refers to happiness, contentment, and peace. And obviously, I didn't really document the journey. It just went from feeling like shit the whole time to just one day feeling good. I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe the day came, or I don't know. I'll tell you guys about it later because अभी बता नहीं सकता हूँ अली को नहीं पता. But I don't know, man. Happiness. That's literally all I can say, Ali.
It's weird because I think I understand where you're coming from, but I think ke, as a creative, as
Yeah.
an artist, I guess, or as a writer, uh, sort of trying to detach myself from this uh, act. I feel like ke, I don't know. I feel like generally human beings as a whole probably have
No, it's
like
easier. It's easier to talk to people when they're like sad. Like what I mean is, how do I put this
that's a
in a way?
that's
Yeah,
a
yeah. Wait,
general
wait,
statement, you know,
wait. I'm putting it into a more
because a lot of people shut
specific
down.
mind way. Yeah, yeah. I'm putting it more into a specific way. So shut the fuck up before your political correctness. You randi ke baad. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it. Okay, I'll actually like your mom. But it's easier for some people to express sadness than it is for them to express other emotions like whatever, whether it's joy or whatever, because most people, at least around Ali, around me, and around like all the social media that I follow, so
Mhm.
everything in my bubble is mainly about like sadness as a cultural thing. So it's like it's easier to like relate to somebody if it's sad. It's easier because you might not share the same like feelings of happiness as somebody, but you can feel the same feelings of like sadness as like betrayal or abandonment or whatever the fuck it is. So you can feel these, so it's like more it's easier to communicate. So that's why I think people do it. But like also like I have this friend who I was talking to who goes unmentioned, but all three of us know them. But I got a message from them and it was like we were just trying to talk after a couple of weeks and there was like no like actual communication happening. So they messaged me and they said, is there something wrong? Like because the thing is we only used to talk when both of us like when one of us was sad and like needed to talk or both of us were sad or like some shit like that. So then
Mhm.
it became really weird because there was no communication when both of us were just doing fine and happy, which makes you feel like either you're dependent on people for your mental health to be better or you're just like or for me, I'm not dependent on anybody for that, but it's easier to communicate and like those are some friendships that were formed on that basis, not formed on like childhood happiness and memories and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like
It's like with Ali and it's like with Shees is also here, but Shees' mom is in his room because this is uni life and Corona life. Let's be honest, isolation, quarantine, हर जगह family hai, except for me and Ali. We're alone, stranded in a foreign country. But
yeah.
yeah, but I've known Shees since kindergarten, since like the earliest days. So obviously, my friendship with Shees had probably zero sad things. Maybe I bullied him a couple times, several times, but it's okay. None of it was like meant to be bully. Okay, he knew some real bullying people. Those fuck those people, right? Fuck those cunt bucket Shees. Anyway, so versus with Ali, our friendship began again on a sad vibe. With our message, Ali literally post breakup. I messaged him, I was like, you want to hang out? I had not hung out with Ali before that. He was one of my ex friend's sisters, his brothers.
Yeah, but
Sorry, I'm so high.
it's like हमारी पहले भी बात हुई थी. It's weird because I think just sort of deviating from the topic a little bit. You know, I
You
was
know,
talking to another friend of mine who is a female, and it's like we were basically sort
किसी
of
को नहीं बताना
I
फीमेल है
नहीं
ये तो
अबे I feel like that's like important
गेम
what I'm about to
चेंजिंग.
say. But basically, like for most dudes, like Pakistani guys, it's unfortunate that उनकी I think हमारे level पर नहीं होती, like even though there are things that we don't talk to each other about, like about our emotions and stuff, but I think we go far more deeper
You
than
do a lot of Randy Rone about your emotions. I don't know what the
देखो
fuck you're
see
talking about, but it's always like, bro, I feel it. I don't feel to go. I
see
feel empty. I feel discontent.
exactly what I was going to get to. I was
Yeah,
talking about the act of expressing and also feeling a sense of validation,
yeah,
right?
bro.
And you literally prove my point right now
I'm
by
not
saying
validating your fucking bullshit, bro. This is the thing, everybody. Like, there's a difference in being supportive and feeding someone's like shitty, depressing, stupid,
but it,
dumb chutia cycle,
bro,
right?
but
Like, I'll sympathize for a day or
bro,
two,
validation does
and
not
then it's not
mean
about validate.
okay.
No, no,
Validate
Ali,
okay,
I don't
okay,
invalidate you.
okay, no, no,
Don't
no.
give
Okay,
them this
listen,
bullshit, bro. Don't
okay,
be giving them
listen
this
to me.
okay, yeah, you know what?
Listen to
Give
me.
them your narrative, and I'll give them the
Okay,
honesty.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm talking about validation as a whole. This afternoon, this day, this morning, I posted a tweet basically saying that for a person. to feel that their emotions are real. They do not You do not need to look for any validation, even if they're not, even if your whatever you're feeling is very ambiguous. Now I understand where you're coming from, but the older I get, the more because previously there was a time like pre 2015, I was like this extremely empathetic person to the point that I would feel like crying about everyone's वो क्या कहते हैं
Problems, burdens, all that shit. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you know, and that even happens right now, but maybe not to that degree because I shut it off. I was like, this isn't helping me anymore, you know. So I had to like shut it off to the point where it was like suppressing everything that I was feeling and just focusing on, motivation, and all of that shit, being optimistic all the time and like sort of brainwashing my brain. But I realized कि like even what you're saying, right? I think I would correct you here because you can validating someone's feelings has nothing to do with you empowering them to move forward and challenge whatever whatever circumstance that they have caused them to feel negative or uh, un नॉन एम्पावरिंग और ऐसी कोई इमोशन जिसकी वजह से वो रो रहे हैं बेसिकली, जिसको तुम रंडी रोना बोल रहे हो। आई
हाँ,
अंडरस्टैंड।
उनके लिए
देखो,
नहीं बोल रहा, उनके लिए नहीं बोल रहा.
नहीं
No,
नहीं,
no, no.
मैं
You
जनरली
don't get to
मैं
put words into my mouth.
मैं
There are people who
मैं
genuinely express themselves. You, Ali Shamim, 99% of the time do Randi Rone. And
बट
I
ब्रो
will say it, bro, I don't
एक्सप्रेशन
give a fuck about this comment section. I don't give a fuck about your chutia following. Let me tell you something, Ali. When you do the same Randi Rone every day and completely keep doing the same shit, like for example, you keep getting that fucking pizza and then doing Randi Rone about it,
ओके
it's
आई
not
मीन
because
ओके
it's not because
दैट
I
इज लाइक वन
invalidate you buying fucking
ओके
pizza.
सो दैट इज
It's
अ
because
chill
you keep repeating
ओके
yourself and you know it's not supposed to be done. And I'm
ओके
not saying I
ओके
invalidate your
ओके
cycle of
ओके
repetition.
फॉर
No, I
मी
just
द
tell you not to fucking do it anymore. Bro,
okay
you know what? Fuck you.
for the food wala thing, for the pizza wala thing. Okay, first of all, that's nothing something that I don't complain about. It's personally a trivial matter. But let's acknowledge that
Hey,
there
man,
are
time
people.
out, time out,
Okay,
time out, time
no,
out, time out. No,
let's
no, no.
acknowledge. No, no, no,
She's
no.
chiming. She's hit
Let's
us. She's
acknowledge
does
that
Ali do Randi
people.
Rone about his pizza?
I don't know if you can hear us.
She's
I can hear you.
does Ali do Randi Rone
Uh,
about his pizzas?
well, not exactly, not unless we
Oh,
kind of.
Thankfully,
she
she's Khan.
stopped
What I'm
you.
about to get to is that sometimes the
I'm not
surface,
done. Not,
okay,
I'm
surface
not
No, no,
level
done.
let
stuff.
she's finish.
Okay,
Let she's
okay,
finish.
okay.
Let the guest finish, bro.
Then I will say
You
something.
see, whenever we just jokingly say it, you just start and keep going on and on about it. So in a way, you kind of do.
So
There
But
you
you
go.
do your Randi Rone
okay.
anyway.
Okay, so let
Continue.
me. I think the more I think about it, I'm glad that I do not have any sort of like eating disorder or anything. It's a trivial. Let me just clarify. I feel like it is quite a trivial matter, but the more I think about it, the more even now, like when I'm trying to like really, since you guys have brought it up, like very specifically, the me deciding not to have the pizza and then one day having this extreme craving and then just going out and getting it because it's like right down. Just like starting of the month, I didn't have it, and then
Ali, you
anyways,
see,
anyways,
no, no, no,
I
no, 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 shut the fuck up.
nahi,
Okay,
listen,
nahi,
listen,
nahi, nahi. I
listen.
am not going
Reason
to let
still,
you continue to
nahi,
lie to these
nahi.
people.
I'm not lying.
You're
I'm being
lying.
really
You're
honest.
lying.
Let
एक
me
दफा craving हो
let
गई तो ले आया. Bro, how many
nahi,
times have you had it
अबे
this
let
week? Ali, how many times have you had it this week?
twice. Let me
Craving तो आती है, bro. It's also called a problem at one point.
exactly. So let me get to that point. I think जब कोई बंदा किसी अपने हैबिट के बारे में एक्सप्रेस करता है कि I feel a compulsion to do this and I'm unhappy that this compulsion is happening, you know. And
Yeah.
in this case it is with food, right? And this is something that I realized कि I started doing when I came here, even though पहले मेरी अच्छी relationship थी खाने के साथ, even now it is, alhamdulillah, it's not that bad. But there are people who do have eating disorders or उनके multiple reasons होते हैं, and I'm not going to get into the nuances of that because I'm not an expert on that
Ali,
specific
just move
topic.
on, please, from
But
this.
talking about the compulsion for a lot of people is a way to cope with, I think, something more deeper, you know, because
Okay, and you're not making sweeping generalizations right now based
मैं
on
मैं
a
अपनी
fucking pizza item.
नहीं नहीं मैं अपनी बात कर रहा हूँ.
सही है, सही है.
I feel like, for example, usually like it मेरा जो I guess जो pattern होता है, if I really think really hard about it, it's like um I wake up and for whatever reasons I'm not in a good mood, and this year just has been very challenging in a lot of ways. But I think eventually, because I'm not getting a sense of comfort, my brain tells me, okay, you can get this extremely good pizza that you've had before to feel good. I did not have this coping mechanism before, but when I came here, in this specific dorm, a friend of ours, Moise, उसने बोला था, just order something from outside as a comfort food. That idea wasn't new to me, by the way. The whole idea of comfort food. And I was like, okay, let's try. Maybe the I was like, okay, fine, it's just pizza that I'll get. It might not hurt me. But I realized, like, with time, there is a certain
Ali, why are we
dependency.
talking about your fucking pizza thing so much? Ali, can you just get to the point? Why do you need to go on these
I'm
fucking
saying,
hour-long tangents? Okay, just
I, I
say
am
what you want to
saying,
say. Nobody
I am
gives a
saying,
fuck about Moise coming in and telling you to eat it. No, just skip to the fucking part that
I
matters.
am saying that
Go
sometimes
on.
the thing on the surface level that feels trivial is actually someone saying, yeah, I feel like I have a problem, but I don't know how to get to it. So I'm just going to talk about the surface level issue just to sort of get it out of the way. Maybe this
Do
is
you want
like,
to add Kamran to this?
no, he's going to trivialize it and make fun of it even further on.
Okay, let me tell you guys something
Okay,
about
let's
Ali,
add him.
right?
If you want to add him,
No,
let's
no,
add
no, no,
him.
no. Abhi,
Let's
then
make
adding
it,
him and filling him into the conversation will be impossible. This
yeah.
podcast will be so. Therefore, let me tell you something, Ali. Let me cut
So
through all this bullshit.
what is your take on people like having unhealthy coping mechanisms and then expressing about those unhealthy coping mechanisms?
Okay, so of course, am I allowed to talk about what? No, I'm not, right? So I'll just talk about the coping mechanism specifically from getting out of an addiction, right?
Okay.
Okay, so from what I understand about addictions, you can never really change. You can never really stop having one. You can only change it with something else, right? So obviously, I get into details of this on my blog personally, but since we can't do it on this YouTube channel, I'll tell you about coping mechanism and unhealthy ones. Let's talk about probably the most unhealthiest coping mechanism of all, which is say smoking cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
When you start smoking cigarettes, you start smoking them in the beginning because it's just like either it's socially um, peer pressured and all that shit, or it's like Ali, this light is coming into my eye, or either it's peer pressured or it's just like you need to smoke something to release some stress, and then if you come to the point where the nicotine rush and the freedom that gives your brain and the clarity is something you need all the time, so you start smoking every 5 minutes. It's pretty sad, but it's okay because that's a coping mechanism. People do that to like avoid doing something else, avoid having the thoughts they want to, avoid any other form of coping mechanisms, whether it's, for example, any like drug abuse or alcohol, whatever it is. People use cigarettes to get off it. People also use other things to get off cigarettes, but like it's all just happens. But with coping mechanisms, it's like everybody figures out their own if they have to, if they can. But like but like coping mechanisms don't only go to substance abuse; they also like move on towards like people and shit. Because like most people when like there's some disruptions in their relationships with friends or family or even the significant others or anything, they fill that with a lot of coping mechanisms, which are always ego flattering, in order to like surface your own like self appreciation
Yeah.
through using other people. So it's like you're really justifying your own actions by having other people justify them, even though you know they're unjustified. If that makes sense. So coping mechanisms can be very unhealthy, but they can also be very healthy. So I don't know, man. I don't know much. Oh, that was a long tangent. Oh.
Yeah, but like coming back to like honest expression, right? So do you think, because I've been thinking about this, man. I feel like, okay, there is definitely a place for your friend coming to you. Like, I'm not talking about our relationship. I'm talking
Okay.
about generally, because there is value in your friend helping you break certain thought patterns and being like, hey, listen, you need to stop. You
Yeah, of course there is, bro.
But I feel like the whole term, I don't even want to say the term, but RR जो लोग बोलते हैं, It's like
Randi Rone.
I don't want
Yeah,
to.
it's super different. Yeah. We don't mean it in the actual sense.
It,
Okay,
it's
it's not
it's like
about that.
I don't like the term. Let's be like I'm being really
Okay,
honest. Like,
fine. We'll call it. We'll call it.
because it has so many connotations like attached
Yeah, bro. But like,
from it as well.
it's about the intention sometimes, and we don't mean it in that negative intent. We mean Randi Rone like people just not shutting the fuck up about their shitty little things.
I guess it's trivial, but triviality in someone else's life, should you be taking? It's like so hard to judge, right?
Yeah,
Because
of course.
because again, like somebody with a let's say somebody with an addiction to sugar, like sugar specifically, because you can get
Yeah,
addicted to sugar, right?
yeah,
Comes to you and says, not to you, but generally to the
yeah.
audience,
Comes to anybody. Yeah.
and says, "Ke, opens up about, I have issue with like eating sugar." And I feel like if you're somebody who says, "Okay, I will help this person break this negative pattern," about at least not feeling bad about themselves.
It's not your job to help people. It's your job not to make them feel worse. So you want to invalidate them, but you don't need to significantly get out of your way to help a random person.
So if you
In my opinion, yeah.
किसी को आके बोलते हो यार आरआर कर रहे हो तुम,
मैं क्यों बोलूंगा उसको मैं वो आर आर करे वो आर आर कर
अभी
ही
मैं
नहीं रहा.
तुम्हें नहीं बोल रहा, मैं
नहीं
जनरली
मगर
बात कर
एनी
रहा हूँ,
पीपल
करते हैं
वांट्स
पाकिस्तानी सोसाइटी में, करते हैं लोग ये,
ठीक है ब्रो तुम्हारी सोसाइटी ब्रो.
करते हैं ये लोग, यू
हाँ ठीक है
अग्री
अली
विद
के
इट।
सोसाइटी के भी
मैं
आ
तो
रहा
मैं
है.
नहीं करता,
चलो
इसलिए तुम्हें
सही.
लगता है कि और शीस नहीं करता, बिकॉज शीस इज लाइक द काइंडेस्ट वन ऑफ द काइंडेस्ट souls that is in my like in my circles,
फ्रेंड सर्कल
honestly.
यस.
Yes, definitely. But I feel like कि बहुत common है ये, especially like
हाँ.
male to male friendships में,
Yeah, it's a very sad tragedy.
you know.
People don't value each other enough, and people find there to be there to people find that trust like some, especially in like our society and our communities and stuff. It's like it's easier for a male to open up to a female because in male to male like conversation and communication is just seen as like feminine
Yeah,
basically, but not like really, but like the feminine that people use in this sense, but like
like
just seen
even with the term
it's seen as
RR, right?
emasculine. It's seen as emasculine, but like it's also
Even
not. But it's just stupidly seen as it.
even
So
even with the term RR, it's like if you like try to dissect it a little bit,
okay, the literal translation is the cries of a prostitute. Okay, like it's obviously
female
nobody means
prostitute.
it. Yeah, obviously
So
like the
it's like,
Randi, not Randa or Randva. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
yeah, right. So अगर तुम
Yeah.
उस तरीके से देखो, so it like
Yeah, bro, but
implies
we're
that
not dissecting Galian, bro. When I say bencho to you, I don't literally mean it. I don't literally call you a sister fucker, bro. That's not the point.
हाँ, I know, I get it. I agree
Yes,
with
Ali,
you,
you dissect your word, bro.
but I think it's not like intentions को नहीं मैं वो कर रहा, but I feel
Bro,
like
we should have a long podcast on whether intentions matter or actions. We should do that. Because I feel like you're the intention kind of guy.
yeah, I think it's so situational
Sahi hai,
even
bro.
with this, because हम बहुत ज़्यादा deviate हो गए, but I think we're gonna wrap this up over here. I
Yeah,
think
guys.
if anybody's like hurt or like whatever with this
I
podcast,
apologize to
I
you
apologize
for
honestly, because I
hurting your
think
feelings.
हम बहुत
Please comment,
aggressively.
please comment your feelings down below, and I will attempt to validate them. All right.
No, that's the thing. That's the
I'm
thing.
joking, Ali. It was sarcasm, bro. Yes, ko
Uh,
chutiye ko to dekho. But anyway, this is why you tune in to watch me and not Ali Shamim. Anyway, thank you. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you in next episode. She's Khan. You were completely pointless and useless, but I will see you later. All right, bye, guys.
bye bye.